Have you ever just walked away from a conversation feeling like you were speaking a completely different language? Well, today, we're going to change that. We're going to build a whole new framework for how you talk, one that takes you from those accidental, frustrating misunderstandings to real, intentional clarity.
And this quote right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem, doesn't it? Thaddeus Mitchell just nails it. We get so wrapped up in trying to look smart or look cool or not look weak that the actual meaning of what we're trying to say just gets lost in the noise. It's a trap we all fall into, and it's where everything starts to go wrong.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why communication falls apart. Then, we'll lay down 5 simple rules for clarity. After that, we get into the really good stuff, a practical toolkit for those tough talks. We'll also cover picking the right channel, spotting major red flags, and finally, get really honest about the true cost and the incredible reward of being clear.
So first up, let's just look at the wreckage. I mean, when communication really breaks down, it's more than just awkward, right? It's destructive. It leads to all that nasty stuff like back channeling, where people are talking about you instead of to you, or even worse, using the silent treatment as a weapon. This is the chaos we're building a system to get away from.
To fix all that chaos, we need a really solid foundation. And these next 5 rules, they aren't just, nice suggestions. Think of these as the actual blueprints for building intentional, effective conversations from the ground up.
So here they are, the big 5. First, be clear. It's so simple. People cannot read your mind. You got to say the thing. Second, be direct. This stops all that gossip and drama in its tracks. Third, be respectful. You can be tough on the problem without being tough on the person. Fourth, be boundaried. No is a full answer. It doesn't need a 20-page essay to justify it. And finally, make it traceable. Get important stuff in writing so nobody's faulty memory becomes a weapon later.
Okay, now for the really practical part. We're literally opening up a toolkit with 3 specific, powerful frameworks you can pull out the next time things get tricky. Think of them as specialized tools for very specific jobs.
Our very first tool is all about managing yourself. You know that feeling when you feel that heat rising in your chest and you have that urge to just lash out? This is your emergency brake. The 3-breath reset is just a tiny little pause that can bring a whole lot of sanity back into the room.
And the process could not be simpler. Seriously, you breathe in and you just name the feeling to yourself. I'm feeling angry. You breathe out and you name what you need. I need some clarity here. And then on that last breath in, you choose one single intentional action. I'm going to ask a question. Just like that, in 3 breaths, you've gone from a pure emotional reaction to making a conscious choice. It's a game changer. Okay, next up is the heavy hitter. This is the CLEAR message. This is your go-to framework for those really complex, high-stakes conversations where any confusion is basically the enemy. Its entire purpose is to cut through the fog and leave 0 room for misinterpretation.
Now notice how each step here builds on the last one. You start with the context, you set a firm limit, you explain the effect, you make a very specific ask, and then, and this is the part everyone forgets, you define the route for a follow-up. This process is literally designed to close every single loophole for misunderstanding.
Let's make this real. Look at this example. It calmly lays out the context, sets a totally non-negotiable limit, explains why, the negative effect, and then makes a direct, simple ask. It's firm, it's fair, and it is unbelievably clear. There's absolutely no fog here to get lost in.
Our third tool is called B.I.G, and it's designed specifically for giving feedback when there's already conflict. And its power? It's in stripping out all the accusations and just focusing on what actually happened and how to move forward.
The structure here is so simple but so powerful. First, you state the specific behavior you saw, no judgments, no interpretations, just the facts. Then you explain the tangible impact of that behavior, and you wrap up with a grant, a request for a specific change. Behavior, impact, grant. Big.
So let's see it in action. Notice, it doesn't say you're a two-faced gossip. No, it states the exact behavior. When you told the team I was hard to work with, then it explains the impact and it ends with a totally reasonable request. It's really hard to argue with this because it sticks to reality, not a bunch of emotional accusations.
Okay, so we have the frameworks, we have the tools, but the channel you use to communicate and the little habits you build around them are just as important. You can have the perfect message, but if you send it through the wrong channel, it can still blow up in your face.
So here's the rule of thumb, and you should probably write this down. If the stakes are high or the emotions are high, you have to use a synchronous channel, a phone call, a video meeting, where tone and body language can actually do their job. Save the asynchronous stuff, like email and text, for logistics and recaps. And here's a hard rule. Just don't ever try to resolve a real conflict over text message. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
And these are the small habits that make a massive difference. Don't have a conversation split across email, text, and Slack. It's maddening. State your goal up front. I'm here to solve this, not to win an argument. Be super specific with deadlines. Own your feelings with I statements. And check that you understood by saying, "So what I think I'm hearing is..." These are the boring little basics that are secretly incredibly powerful.
Now, this next part is absolutely critical. Because sometimes the problem isn't your communication skills. Sometimes you're dealing with someone who actually benefits from chaos and confusion. So here's how to spot the red flags that tell you it's time to stop talking and start holding a firm boundary.
Red flag number 1 is triangulation. If you keep hearing about problems with you from somebody else, that is a huge warning sign. This isn't just an accident, it's a behavior designed to avoid accountability and stir up drama. It's a choice to talk about you, not to you.
And the only fix is to refuse to play the game. You need a hard script ready to go, just like this one. You state your boundary clearly and calmly, and you just shut down that indirect route. You're not being rude, you are demanding respect and directness.
And the second huge red flag is punishment. When you set a totally normal, reasonable boundary, you say no, and the other person responds with anger or guilt tripping or the silent treatment, well, the problem is no longer about communication. It's about control. And that is your cue to hold that line, not to explain it for the 10th time.
So, we've covered the tools, the habits, the warnings. But let's be totally honest for a second. Communicating this way is not always easy. It comes with some real trade-offs, and it's really important to walk into this with your eyes wide open.
Just look at this balance sheet here. For every amazing pro, like fewer arguments and becoming a really trustworthy person, there's a flip side. People who love drama, they will not like the new you. Some relationships that were only held together by confusion might actually end. You'll probably be called too direct at some point. And yeah, that can sting, but honestly, it's often the price you pay for integrity.
And that brings us to the final, most important takeaway of all. Communication is a bridge, right? But you cannot build a bridge by yourself. Your job is to build your half with the best tools and the best intentions. But if the person on the other side refuses to build theirs, the most intentional, powerful act of communication might just be to stop tossing your planks into the river and simply walk away.